Alright everyone, we start off today with a whole slew of different Maralago raid updates, everything pertinent to what's going on with the FBI raid into Donald Trump's home. There's some shenanigans going on here. Links in the description, archived of course. We've got 3 sub-stories here, and another thing to cover, which is Biden's own personal culpability is seen in the new filings for a special master, the court's opinion there. They have granted that, and I think it's in 3 days they have to have compiled sort of a plan for a special master to review documents. The FBI did a no-no. There's a halt to the current DOJ rifling through of personal paperwork, and that paperwork involves, things that should not be in there, including Melania's clothes apparently. The DOJ cross-filing was ludicrous. There's one particular component of that that's hilarious. When I look at these cases, I can only think that this is botched and that Trump sort of knew that this was going to happen. He had some sort of forewarning and he's trolling the DOJ because some of the documents that were apparently included or at the very least taken, they were there for the taking, have absolutely nothing to do with the extent of the warrant pertinent to the raid. Firstly, we'll cover the FBI no-no story. The FBI took medical records from the Maralago. That's been confirmed. Again, that's the first link. They also took Trump tax documents. Now, of course, if he had anything that was particularly juicy, I don't think that he kept it in the storage room with the classified shit. I have a feeling that it's going to be like tax statements and shit like that. And the idea, it appears, and this is the case with the empty headers and empty folders and so forth, the idea seems to have been to get the FBI to accidentally take things that are beyond the purview of the warrant. So, Melania's clothes, that's entirely different. I don't know why those were taken. Books and news clippings, well, those aren't supposed to be there, now are they? Medical records, those are definitely, for a private citizen, those are definitely covered under, under medical privilege, under HIPAA, etc., etc. I think that the FBI goofed up, therefore, which is probably why the court, 3 out of 4 of the reasonings given by Trump for why there needs to be a special master to look through what was actually taken were accepted by the court. The court seemed amenable to that. Leading us to the second update, which is that not only is a special master going to be appointed, the DOJ has now been blocked from rifling through the documents in the meantime until such time as the special master is capable of acting. Now, the process of appointing one could take a few weeks. The process of going through those documents will take longer. Now we know why Joe Biden and the DOJ said, well, we're probably not going to make a decision until after the midterms to indict. Even if they wanted to and thought that they had evidence, this will probably stretch on past the midterms anyway. It's going to be a freak show. The big worry, of course, is that we end up with a constitutional crisis because, of course, story number 3, if you look at the DOJ's filing, again, archived link in the description, it's very interesting. The DOJ contends that we're not sure that Donald Trump actually declassified these documents, but it wouldn't be pertinent to the case anyway. That's because you're not going under the original Warrant and Espionage Act or even the original affidavit. You've pivoted around to a National Archives dispute. By the way, Joe Biden was aware that a raid would occur. We can infer this. Why? There are a few lines within the DOJ's filing and the court's filing in regards to the special master, which is more pertinent, talking about how the incumbent president, Biden, in the middle of May, ordered that the documents be repatriated. This should be front page news worldwide, and I'll tell you why. Biden orders the documents to be repatriated. Pertinent to that, around the same time, he says, I am waiving executive privilege over these documents for the former president, so you can go and retrieve them. He can't keep them from you under executive privilege. Trump would not have known that necessarily to be the case. Now, he may have gotten forewarning from an informant or a middleman or something, hence the apparent trolling. But he wasn't warned by the FBI, the DOJ, the National Archives, hey, look, you no longer have executive privilege rights over the documents at all. They've been rescinded by Joe Biden. You have to give them up. You have to comply with our subpoena. He wasn't informed of this. So in other words, Joe Biden knew that there'd be a raid. He obviously would have gotten updates, if not about the raid's timing itself. He would have gotten updates about, hey, Donald still won't give up the documents. The problem boils down to this, though. If Trump claims he declassified them, and Biden claims he retroactively removed that declassification by removing executive privilege, and Trump wasn't warned, that's problem number one. But that's a mild one. He can say, well, it's sour grapes, I don't have to call up Donald because he's Orange Man. Half the population will accept that. The problem is that you inevitably get a court case, because there's no settled law on whether a former executive can even do that, and to what scope, if they can, that they are able to do so. If you're going under the concept of the preservation of archival material of the Presidential Records Act, you've pivoted a little ways away from espionage now, haven't you? The original concept that was put forth weeks ago by the entire lamestream media, by every craptivist, was that Trump maliciously took a bunch of nuclear secrets and now is selling them to the Russians. We've now devolved to the point where Donald is just a crybaby over his wife's wardrobe, and he may have violated the Records Act. Again, there could literally be no charge on the fact that there's a non-crime. There's no specific penalty for what he supposedly did. We're not talking about espionage at that point, but we are talking about the deep-seated malice towards Trump's Fourth Amendment rights in the seizing of documents and materials that have nothing to do with the original investigation. The warrant was quite clear. It has to do with classified material at the Maralago or presidential records. Please tell me how news clippings, which literally anyone could have, they're publicly available, they're not classified, Melania's nightgown or her panties, Donald Trump's fucking condom collection or whatever, his medical records, or anything like that would be pertinent to the investigation. The fact is that they seized at least some thousands of things that they weren't supposed to seize at the Mar-a-Lago. The raid was predicated upon the potentially legally false premise that Biden can even retroactively reclassify this material anyway. And in the end result, you get basically a dispute between the National Archives and Trump. It's not espionage. It's not treason. It's not aiding and abetting foreign enemies, sedition or something. It's about archival records. It's about presidential records. That's literally all we're dealing with here. This is the biggest nothing burger so far as the entire Donald Trump saga. This is a bigger nothing burger than Russiagate. At least when the Russiagate investigation kicked in, you nailed some people for unrelated things due to your fishing expeditionism, like Paul Manafort. At least you got Flynn. He got pardoned, but this is even less. And then you have the water muddying by the DOJ, effectively saying, we're not sure that the Donald declassified this material. But if he did declassify it, it doesn't matter because we're just talking about the repatriation of documents to the National Archives where they belong. Again, non-crime, potentially legally irrelevant, predicated on something that could be outright illegal anyway. It could end up before SCOTUS. And then the real fun begins as of next year. If they do indict, and they say, well, Trump done goofed, Trump will say, no, the former president can't revoke my executive privilege. Prove it in a fucking goddamn court. We're going before SCOTUS. Then the fireworks happen because every liberal in the country will demand that the 3 Trump-appointed justices sit it out, recuse themselves. By the way, Trump might be found in the right even if that happens. It could be a unanimous decision, just to be clear. You've already had opinions issued, for instance, by Kavanaugh on the subject with regards to this, saying, look, if you do allow a sitting executive to retroactively revoke that access, no president's going to be able to talk about anything classified with anyone at any time because then they can get nailed for it after they leave office. Thus, it's bullshit. It becomes literal banana republic behavior. We've already gotten an opinion issued on that. We know how he would rule. That would seal the deal, in my opinion. Trump would, in my opinion, win that case. Again, we're not talking about espionage or treason. We're talking about the FBI marching into a property in which there was full cooperation anyway, in which there was no need to raid anything because they could have literally just shown up at the door with the court order and said, look, we're taking the documents, please supply the documents. Apparently they thought that Donald Trump was going to burn Melania's wardrobe if they didn't get in there real quick. That's about all. Peace out.